This talk is designed to be quite interactive, and you may need a piece of paper and something to write with depending on how it goes. And this is an anti-burnout talk, as we mentioned, focusing mainly on creativity, which is aligned to HSBC's Future Skills Agenda. And this is about building a bank for the future by enabling a learning culture and focusing on the skills that we'll all need to thrive in the future, creativity being one of them. And some of the tips that we discuss are known internally at HSBC as micro tries, and we really hope that you enjoy them. My name is Steph South, and I'm one of the HR business partners supporting digital business services at HSBC, and I'm joined by my colleague.
Hi everyone, Priyanka D'Souza. I'm a global HR consultant with digital business services and really happy to be speaking today.
So I'm just going to share my screen now for the first part of the talk. And we're going to start with a brief mindfulness practice. So make sure that you're set to do not disturb on all of your devices, minimize any screens, turn off the video and any distractions. Adopt an upright posture in your chair, so not hunched over, not really sitting too far back in the chair. Just allow the space to breathe fully, because this is now your time to take a couple of minutes for you just to relax the brain. We're going to focus on compassion. So either close your eyes or have a downward gaze. Don't look at anything in particular, just a gentle focus. And as you do this, visualize a picture of the world. It could be an image of the globe, it could be a map, whatever works for you. As you hold that image of the world, imagine all of the 7+ billion people on the planet, all of the animals, all of nature, all of life. Feel your heart fill with warmth as you visualize this. And as you feel the connection to all of that, begin to silently repeat the phrase, may you be healthy, may you be happy, and may you be at peace. May you be healthy, may you be happy, and may you be at peace. Now for about a minute or so, just on your own, offering your blessings and compassion to the world. May you be healthy, may you be happy, and may you be at peace. And as we're breathing and feeling that, we're now going to let the repetition go, and we're going to let the visualization go. Allow any emotions to fade. Trust that your blessings and compassion were well received by the world and the people and animals and the life in it. Take a deep breath and a stretch and open your eyes if they were closed. Know that when you do these compassion meditations, it strengthens and enlarges areas of the brain associated with your well-being and shrinks those areas associated with suffering. And I'm sure that we can all think of why this might be beneficial. And I really do hope that after that couple of minutes that you've just taken for yourself, that you are feeling better. So when we do these compassion meditations, as we said, it strengthens and enlarges areas of the brain associated with well-being and shrinks those areas associated with suffering. As a species, humans are dependent on each other. We need other humans to survive. We succeed when we collaborate rather than when we compete. When we compete, stress levels are raised, the fight or flight mechanisms in the brain are activated, we are less likely to innovate, and we are more likely to have a fixed mindset. Conversely, when we collaborate, creativity and innovation are enabled, and we're more likely to then have a growth mindset. The reward mechanisms in the brain are activated. I'm sure that all of us on the call here understand how high performance in teams is driven by psychological safety, and that's the topic of the day. We also know that today, most complex work is done in teams. It's not necessarily done by individuals. We therefore need to collaborate in order to be effective and to solve those complex business problems. Mindful compassion practice can make us be a more effective team member because we're more likely to then collaborate, which builds trust, which in turn is a building block for psychological safety. Burnout was identified as a pandemic even before COVID happens. This puts all of us and our organisations at risk. If you're a leader or a HR member on the call, you need to care about this not only for yourself, but also for your people. Overworking, it leads to burnout. Chasing productivity in this way, chasing overworking, leads to burnout. Home and work did become blurred during this COVID period, I think, for most people. And Harvard Business Review research found that the more time pressure we feel that we're under, the less likely we are to think creatively. It's not healthy to be available all the time. And I think those blurring of lines has led to people thinking more around productive lines and, hey, I've been productive, instead of thinking on innovative, creative, and collaboration lines. We've got really great tools nowadays, but we also need to give ourselves a break. And this addiction to productivity and burnout, it's harming our creativity. And we know that in order to survive and thrive for the future, we need creativity.
Thanks, Steph. Creativity at its heart is inspiration. So let's hear, what is the one word that comes to your mind when you think of creativity? Feel free to use the chat button and let's hear what's the one word this Friday afternoon that comes to your mind when you think of creativity. Art, yeah. Ease, drawing,
Bodes well for some of the tips.
not thinking, yeah. Taking a break, fun, gardening, essential, absolutely. Great, thank you. We typically associate creativity as specific to certain teams or professions, artists, musicians. But from this session, hopefully we're going to take away that creativity is actually for all of us. It's a team sport. We leverage off each other's ideas, and collectively we get to be more creative. I would like you all to take a few seconds, stand up, and imagine that you're going to the outer space. Take a few minutes. You can close your eyes. Ready? 3, 2, 1, blast off. Just imagine you're going to the outer space. Okay, now you can all come back. Great. So again, using the chat functionality, tell us, whom did you go to the outer space with? Did you go on your own? Was it with a colleague, some member of your family? Went alone? Cat! Flying solo, okay. Alone. Anyone else? Right. What did you wear? Was it casual work from home clothes? Were you back into your professional mode? What did you imagine wearing to the outer space? A spacesuit. Great, Melissa. Anyone else would like to share? I didn't think about that. I focused on what I was saying. Perfect. A normal clothes, Judy. Actually, to Dawn's point, then, what did you see? Type up what did you see? Stars. Hmm. Stars and then the earth. Okay. And final question then. Did you land on the moon? Did anyone land on the moon? Open dark spaces, stars. No. Judy says no. Great. So you're probably thinking, what does this all have to do with creativity? What we have done is had a go at igniting that creative muscle, which unlocks different ideas. We gave you all the same instructions. Some of us, stayed on track. Some thought differently. There's no right or wrong. But why does this happen? As children, we are all imaginative. We tell ourselves stories, we talk about things creatively. There's absolutely nothing off limit. But then as we grow older, we stop ourselves mainly because fear of being judged, fear of failure, or sometimes even taking the time out to take a break, give ourselves the space and just think differently. Creativity isn't just for creatives. We all have it in us. It is one of the critical skills of the future, identified by the World Economic Forum and prioritized by many organizations, including HSBC. There are so many complex problems today, lots of uncertainty as we're going through COVID, but even before and now even beyond. Creativity breaks down barriers when thinking about innovation and complex problems. A computer cannot solve or think innovatively or cannot solve highly complex problems in a very creative way, but humans can. We are not going to offer innovative or creative solutions if we are not in an environment where it's okay to try out different ideas and sometimes even fail. This includes psychological safety. It includes feeling trusted. The biggest barrier to creativity is us. But to be fair, it's also the workplace, whether remote or not. So, leaders and HR on this call, you need to enable that psychological safety, encourage growth mindsets, a culture of experimentation, and mindful leadership. Whilst we should care about productivity, of course, because that gives us the results, but without enabling creativity, you won't have innovation and the results will be very short term. So, what we can do to boost creativity then? Actually, lots of practical tips, especially if you're doing it at an individual level. One is mindfulness meditation, which is really being able to get in touch with our thoughts, acknowledge them, take the space to take a break, and allow ourselves to think differently. But it's also taking a walk, being close to nature, just wandering around, taking a break will also help us to think differently. But more importantly, how do we then proactively seek out diverse viewpoints, surrounding ourselves with different people, having different perspectives, and really inviting those ideas to think differently? Get away from the screen, get away from your routines, your workspace, just to invite another perspective. Choose one item a day and think of as many uses as possible, just to exercise that creative muscle, like we saw. Look for a technique, idea, approach, or method used outside of another role, so that we can actually look at ways we can transfer learning. from one area or from one place where we've applied a solution to another problem. Also, do one ordinary or routine thing in a different way. Again, doing something different and exercising their creative muscle so that it becomes a habit. Take two random words and connect them. Lots of games that children play is a really great source of helping your minds to get into that creative space.
Thank you, Priyanka. And for groups and teams, because creativity is not just for individuals, it's also for teams, as Priyanka mentioned, it's a team sport. When you have ideas and you talk about your ideas, your brain sparks with creativity, that creative muscle, and it may then spark somebody else's idea. So here's some ideas for teams to do together. So you could do this remotely or you could do this in person. So it's all open. Everybody could find as many different uses for an object as possible. So a little bit like the individual one, for example, a glass or a plate, but the difference is in a team, you're sparking ideas with each other and probably having a bit of fun with it. Everyone could draw the same line or squiggle on a page, and then privately, everybody takes 1 minute to complete the drawing in any way they like. So it was great to hear some of the chat earlier when you were saying that creativity is drawing, because a lot of these do relate to that. Watch 'em or Draw It is a product that's available on Amazon. So there's 96 cards that gets the creative juices flowing. So at random, people pick a card and then draw what it says. Depending on the size of your team, you could have groups and each group gets two random items. So maybe a football and a pair of socks, a plate and a mouse, and ask each team to develop a list of ways that these two disconnected items can be used together. Hackathons is something that many organisations, including ours, users. So you take an existing problem and then brainstorm possible solutions. And then finally on this page, but not confined to this list here, certainly there's many ideas. Everyone takes a few minutes to draw what their superpower is and then share their superpower and talk it through. And I guess if we had longer than 20 minutes, we could have a bit of fun with that, but perhaps you could think about that in one of the breaks and maybe have a go at drawing your superpower by yourself, because again, an individual could do this to spark off their own creativity. So to conclude, we implore you to please stop chasing productivity if you are, because productivity gains, they will come through computers, they will come through automation. Instead, think about how you can raise psychological safety and creativity in your teams, because the business gains that you would have made through productivity, they will come anyway, and more besides, because of the greater innovation and the healthier teams. Think sustainability, not short-term gain. This will help you and your business to differentiate itself. Secondly, start small. We all have the capacity to be creative. We've just proved that on this call, and we've proven that through the COVID period as well. So even if we do 10 seconds of creative activity, the muscle in the brain is ignited, it lights up, and just see where your mind can take you and the others around you. Thirdly, creating the right culture, psychological safety, inclusion, experimentation, growth mindsets, mindful leadership. Give people the space for breaks and thinking time, not just thinking about how many emails they can send a day, how much code they can do in a day. Give people that space for breaks. Creativity is one of the critical top skills of the future. A computer cannot be creative like a human can. You and your organization needs this skill to survive and thrive in the future.